And looks like we're got camera action rolling. Hey, Slingin Dirt Media, DJ Smallwood here in the shop tonight with Jerry Rice. Jerry, thanks for taking the time and man, getting us in here.
Thanks for coming and seeing our place here.
Man, you guys got an amazing shop. I mean, just a little walkthrough I did. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, we love it here. I mean, we've had a lot of crazy nights.
I'd say maybe a few.
Yeah, we've seen the sun come up a couple times. I remember when Josh won his first mod race. When we left here, I was like, I hear the birds chirping. The sun was coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that race. I was actually in the grandstands watching that night. For some reason, I wasn't working. I don't know why. Just had wife and kids and a few other kids, and I'm like, yep, I knew that little kid.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it's something, work my tail off to get. And when we built it, we never dreamed because I was driving for Brooks's at the time, and we never thought we'd ever. And I found this building package online, and it was really cheap. And
yeah,
because I didn't want to build this size shop, but it was so cheap that I went ahead and built it. And then we ended up it had 20-foot ceilings in it. I'm like, hell, we'll never need that. Put a basketball goal in it.
Hey, I've seen you guys shooting archery in here. Is that right?
Yeah. And there's the bathroom in the back there. James was shooting his bow one night, and I don't know if it shot through the target. I never really heard the full story on it, but I opened the cabinet, and it's like there's a hole in this cabinet. I was like, what the hell happened here? And James was like, oh yeah, the arrow went through.
The arrow went through.
Yeah, it went into the back cabinet. But yeah, we've had a lot of good times.
Now, this is not the shop you used to race out of.
No. So we bought 2 acres off my mom and dad. This was my mom and dad's farm. And the old dairy barn over there you see over across the way. And they just tore the old house down right before Christmas. And that was pretty devastating to see. But it was in pretty bad shape. But
yeah.
So we raced out. I mean, there's a lot of old memories out of that old place. I mean, from what I heard, Donnie Martin and Chuck McWilliams raced out of it. Jack and Joe and my brother James, they all raced out of it. And
okay.
We used to, as a kid, we spent a lot of late nights over there.
Right.
It was probably thank goodness for that old barn because it kept me out of trouble. I'd have probably been in jail somewhere if it wasn't for that place.
I've seen a lot of the pictures and stuff on Facebook. It's like, get your kids in racing and they won't have time or money to get into anything else.
Yeah. That's the way with me. My brothers, they got me started in it, and they always told me, look, I'll help you no matter what. But if we ever, you can drink your beer or whatever, but if we ever catch you doing anything other, drugs or whatever, we're done with you. We'll never help you. And so
it's a good philosophy.
Always stuck with me.
Sure.
And so we've. Like I say, between the 2 places, we've drank a lot of beer and had a lot of fun.
Beer's good. So, how old was Jerry Rice? How old were you when you started racing?
I was 16. So my oldest brother James, they run. I guess I don't know what the class was called back then. I guess it was Sportsman.
Okay, yeah.
But it was like a full body Chevelle.
Yeah.
And he had gotten out of racing. The car was just sitting there. And then my brother Jack had a sprint car that they'd brought back from Oklahoma City because they moved out there for a while and raced. And it had a straight line 6-cylinder in it. So Dad was like, look, because I was at the time was 15, but at Florence you couldn't race till you were 16.
Really?
So, yeah. So
okay.
Press Sailing, I think, owned it at that time. And
what year are we talking? Thinking cap on here.
Probably 80-something, 80-ish,
okay.
81, 82, something like that. And so anyway, Jack's like, look, we'll take my old 6-cylinder motor and put it in this big, heavy Chevelle and just go over there and make laps and have fun, So we did that and got to running, a little bit and started getting a little more competitive and start passing some cars and started getting, where we was running better. And I don't know what happened to it, but we had the carburetor off of it and we was working on it. And we put the carburetor back on it, and we started it up, and the motor blew up. We're like, what the hell, So we bring it home, and we found 3 5/16 bolts, about 1.5 inches long, cut off. It was just the threads.
Right.
Someone had thrown it down in the intake.
They
was cut off. And it knocked the pistons out of it.
How did that happen?
We never did.
Couldn't figure it out.
I mean, I'm not saying somebody did it deliberately, but it was the craziest thing. So
Yeah.
my brother Jack's like, look, I've got a big block 427. We're gonna put this son of a bitch in there. So man, when you push down that thing, it was totally different.
It's a different ball game.
Yeah. So we ran that for a little bit, and then my brother Joe, he's amazing.
Yeah.
He chalk line had this. Well, I drove his car for a little bit after that.
Okay.
And then he built this car in the barn over there on the floor.
Okay.
Built the whole thing, and then we went through. Jack's like, look, we'll just build a little V8 and put in,
Yeah.
So he goes, and the old barn over there, I mean, like I say, it's got a lot of history, a lot of parts laying around and stuff.
Right.
He's like, go through the barn and find 8 rods, and he said, we'll send them out and have them reconditioned. So I just grab 8 rods, take them to Kentucky Motors, and guy that was running the store, he calls my brother at the body shop, and he's like, what are you guys doing? And he's like, what do you mean? He goes, you sent me a big block rod. He goes, I got 7 small block rods and 1 big block rod. Well, hell, I didn't. Rods
are rods, yeah. I probably wouldn't know the difference either.
So I go out the garage and get 3 or 4 more and take them up. And I'm like, one of these working. So we put it together and we raced that thing for, quite a bit. And we had a blast with that thing. And so then after that, we got a motor from Arlo Wilson, and we thought we'd got us a dreamy. It was. So then we started winning. That was in our sportsman days. That sportsman class back then.
That was a fun class.
Oh my gosh, I had so much fun. That's the most fun I've ever had racing. I mean, it was just between the Green Boys and Ike Williams.
Yeah.
And, Dave Rouse, Donnie Martin, Larry Moore, Moreland was his dad was in it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
He was in the Time Auto Sales 21 car.
Yeah. We had so much fun doing that.
Yeah, Jesse had the black 33 car.
Yeah, when he started. Yeah, so it was just a lot of fun. And then.
And yours was the black with they have a silver 14 on it, or is it?
There was a few different.
A few different versions of it.
Yeah, we Cook would paint signs.
Yeah.
Everything was letter, painted back then.
Right, they weren't doing vinyl stuff back then.
No, and so it had a silver number on it, and it was 14. So, but it was so at that point, they had a race one night, and I think it was a 50 lapper. I know it was a 50 lapper, but I can't remember if it was like the fall 50 or whatever.
Yeah.
And Jerry King come up to us, and he had told all of us sportsman guys, he was like, look, the top 4 finishers is going to tag the tail of the late models because there wasn't enough. They only had like 20, And we're going to let you guys tag the tail. So me and Audie was fired up, Like we're going to,
Yeah, we're going to run late models tonight.
So I was running second or third or whatever and was all fired up, end up spinning out. And I'm like, oh, man, I'm going to lose my only shot to probably ever drive a late model, being a late model class. So I end up coming from the tail, come back and run 4th, and we made the show. And Audie was like, look, I'm going to try to pass these guys. I'm like, me too. Let's go.
Yeah.
So we took off, and we did. We started passing cars and going up through there with our sportsman cars, passing late models. We was going down the front stretch, and the motor blew up in that thing, and it was like Daytona. I mean, I was going into one, and it just come around and spun around, hit the fence.
Days of Thunder type stuff, huh?
And so we brought it home and put it on the motor stand, turned it up, and pulled the old pan off of it, and there was lobes of cam. And Jack, my brother, he put the pan. He goes, "This thing's junk." He's like, "We're gonna have to do something different." So then after that, that's when we got the Arlo motor. But yeah, it was. We had a lot of fun. My brother Jack and Joe, they've helped so much, to do stuff. I mean, my brother Jack has drugged me all over the country and just doing different stuff. And, got burn marks from rotors all up and down his arms. And with me helping the boys now, there's been several times where it's, I'm like, gosh, I'm be like, and he's like, I don't feel a bit sorry.
I don't feel bad for you one bit.
He gets on me.
Payback, huh?
But yeah, it's so much fun for us to have them there with us. They like I say and my brother Joe, anytime we need something welded, I mean. When we first got these rocket cars, before they had the hoop that come down, they started putting on all of them. The cars that we had, Josh called the boys up. I think Kurt's his name up there, and said, "You got somebody that can weld this?" Like, we may know a guy.
I might know a guy.
Yeah. So he does. He can flat get it done, welding stuff. I mean,
Nice.
So
it's always good to have somebody that can weld something.
Yeah. We've been blessed through the years. I mean, to have a lot of people that's helped us. I mean, Chris and Justin Weatherall, them guys are the best. I mean, they come out. I can call them, whenever, and it's like, man, we need the valves checked, or we got a problem or whatever. They drop what they're doing and run.
Get over on it.
Us. And,
so, from the sportsman car, let's go. When and how did you get to a late model?
So I kind of,
because you had success in both.
Yeah.
So let's get into the late model.
So the deal was, when we started passing cars, Jerry King come up with, he was going to do away with the sportsman class.
Okay.
He's like, you guys are good enough, you can just, we're going to combine it all into one. And I told him, like, if you do that, we're done. We can't
compete with those guys.
So
that's almost like a crate late model.
Yeah. So it's kind of a funny story. So they used to run races before like they do now through the week.
Right.
And we was getting ready to go on vacation down to Cave Run Lake. We was going to boat all week.
Okay.
And so it was like a Wednesday or Thursday night, and we're going out to Twin Cities. They got late model races. So we was going to hit that and then go on to the lake. So we get there, and the boy that helped Audie was J.R. Rich.
Okay.
And he come up to me and he goes, hey, I heard you're going to get in Marion Sue Martin's car. I started laughing. I'm like, I was like, man, that is top secret. I'm like, where did you hear that? He goes, is it true? And I'm like, it's so top secret, I don't even know that. I'm like, no. I was like, I'm not going to get in this. Like, there's no way they'd put a sportsman guy in that, because at that time when Pat was racing it, that was the car.
Yeah.
I mean, he won a lot of races.
Yeah.
So we went and we boated and everything, and then we come back. Well, that next Monday, I'm at work, and I get a phone call. Back then, it didn't have cell phones.
Right.
They paged me. I go get the phone, and guy says, this is Marion Martin. And I'm like, who the hell is this?
Yeah, okay, really? Who is it?
Jacking with me, like you always hear these stories.
Yeah.
And he said, no, this is Marion Martin. He said, would you be interested in driving our second car? He said, I want to run 2 cars. And I'm like, I was kind of in shock, I'm like, are you serious? And I'm like, why would you put me in it? And,
Yeah.
And I owe Press Sound and Jerry King. They put a good word in for me. And he took a shot on me, and so I'll never forget it. Me and Jack was standing on, I don't know if you remember Audie, and then when they had that big rollback where you could stand up on the top of it.
I think so.
So we're standing right off of 4.
Mm-hmm.
They had everything done. We went down and put the seat in it and everything. And Pat was leading the feature, and somebody hooked him in the right rear coming off 4, and it turned the car, and he hit the wall just head on. It looked like he run right into a bulldozer. It just flattened it.
Yeah.
And I looked at my brother Jack, and Jack looked at me, and he goes, well, there goes your shot. He's like, you're never going to get to. So I went down, we checked on him and everything, and Marion's like, look, Pat's going to drive your car next week. I'm like, I totally understand. Well, they take that car to CJ's and clip it, and they call me like Wednesday and says, hey, Pat's still so sore. Would you want to go to Lawrenceburg and make some laps in Pat's car? I'm like, hell yes. So we all run down there, and we're making laps and stuff, and it starts drizzling rain a little bit. Well, I end up spinning it out. Back then, they didn't have any guardrails there.
Yeah, old Lawrenceburg.
Yeah, I've never been there. I've seen the place, but never raced there or nothing. And I go sliding off the track and everything, and I get it fired back up. And I come out, and I'm looking down. I'm like, they're not going to ever let me.
I'm fired.
Come out and get me. I'm going to make as many laps as I can in this thing before they take me out of it. And Marion cracked up about that. But so we pulled in, and he's like, he was, on the clock. He's like, he was really right there with good lap times. He said, consistent lap times.
Right.
So they went ahead and raced Pat that weekend. Well, then the next weekend, I got to run the other car.
Okay.
And, we was third quick, run second in the dash, led most of the feature, not most of it. We led quite a bit of it, and then Bloomquist passed us, and we ran second to Bloomquist.
Huh.
So I'm thinking, right out of Sportsman, I run second to person. I'm like, shit, this is easy.
Yeah, I got this. This is me.
Yeah, this is going to be a cakewalk.
Man.
And then, but then, so we ran for them. That's how we got started, was with Marion and Sue Martin. They took a chance on me and put me in their late model.
Now that was Pat's car. Was that was the 44 car, right?
Yeah.
Stinger.
Stinger. Yeah.
Yeah.
And vans.
Yeah.
It was.
When I was a kid, man, Pat he was my guy.
Yeah.
And he was to me, he was the Scott Bloomquist back then, you know.
He was really, really good. He's fun to watch, you know what I mean? He just was always clean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I never seen him really get
right. And always smiling.
Yeah.
That's what all I remember as a kid.
Yeah. It was fun. So we got to go to Eldora a couple of times with them and stuff.
Okay.
And run with them a few years, and so then after that, we got to where we wasn't running very good, and they put somebody else in it, and then Dick Anderson picked us up.
Okay.
Because my brother Joe was driving the car that they'd built, and he got to where it was with him working and having, at that time they had young kids, so Dick asked me if I wanted to drive it, and that was a ZR1 car.
Okay.
So they ended up driving it for a few years.
I remember that thing screaming, the ZR1 car, just screaming around Eldora. I mean, I heard you guys had like some huge mountain of a motor in that thing.
Oh, it was. It was a big Dodge motor.
Like a 505 or something?
I don't know what. Dick was the funniest guy, I'm telling you. He always told me, he'd clear his throat. Whenever you're in trouble, he'd, honey. And then you know, I got shit, I'm in trouble. But
I'm getting a shampoo now,
He's like, honey, I wanna follow him through the corner and blow him away down the street.
Right.
That was his mentality. He had that big Dodge motor. And we tried so much stuff with that. We had a radiator in the back because he was trying to get the weight off.
Yeah.
And Joe got it hot one night and pulled in, and because I was running another car for him, but we had a automotive specialist was Keith Dorton.
Okay.
Him down in North Carolina. So he pulled in and he told Joe, he goes, that ain't hot. You know, he said, you keep it out there. So we went to Eldora, and he just stayed out, you know, because he told him not to pull it in, and that thing blew a head gasket, and the headers on it was huge, and it was blowing the biggest smoke rings out of the headers every time it would fire. The big old smoke rings would come out, and So it was crazy. Yeah, he had some like these groovy, you know, everything. Everybody grooves the tires in all his trucks. He come up with that before anybody else did. Yeah, he had that idea in that, you know, to hold the tire where you can. And he had some neat ideas on some stuff. But,
you know, it seems like back then there was a whole lot more ingenuity put into racings. I mean, teams and stuff did a whole lot more of their stuff now than just buy it and bolt it on. You know.
Oh, he would build. I remember when he brought that in the first time. I'm like, oh God, I thought he was going to put it on the car somewhere. I'm like, what the hell?
What is it?
Tires or what? And he's like, you know, he would got on me. He's like, no, it's to hold it. So, but yeah, he had a lot of trick stuff that he tried to do or whatever. But.
So the ZR1 car was that an old rocket car, or do you remember?
We had a Rayburn car. Well, actually, when we first started it, we had a Masterbuilt, and they cut all the connection points off of it and went through it and redone it. And then Dick had bought another old Masterbuilt car. It was one of Jack Boggs' old car, and I drove it for a little bit. And then we got a Rayburn car, and then we got rockets.
Okay. There's a reason I ask, and I think the reason I ask because it might have been the same car, and it may not have been. Chris Yokel had a super dirt stock car back in the day before he did late models for Bennett there, and the car that he had it was originally a rocket car, had the rocket label, the tag on it and everything, and it had the weird X bracing coming down off the back of the car, and it came down like that. And for some reason I was thinking that might have been that car. I thought he told me when I bought it from him that was Jerry's old ZR1 car that had been. Yeah. I may be wrong on that, but I'll double check that.
Yeah. I don't know because, you know, when Dick sold all that stuff, I don't know where.
Yeah, it could have ended up anywhere. Yeah.
But yeah, we've been with Rocket for
long time.
Yeah, long time. We tried some other stuff, but they just, you know, they've always took good care of us and stuff, and
fit your driving style.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about that, and I've had conversations with other guys. You know, guys need to, man, they find a chassis or find something that fits their driving style, and when you get that good combination, and you have something like what we got over here.
Right. Well, it cracks me up because every time, because with Rick Jones now with Sinestis, he wants Josh to sell them and keep fresh cars. You know? So he's like every year, he's like in the year, you know, sell one and get a new one.
Yeah.
And we'll put one on for sale, and it's like, you're getting a Longhorn, you're getting a Longhorn. It's like, no, we're not getting a Longhorn, we're just getting another Rocket. You know? Yeah, it's or it never fails. It's you put one on there for sale. Are you quitting? You know, that's another one.
That's the first
me.
thing.
Yeah, like,
Why are you selling? Yeah.
yeah. No, we're just getting a different car. But
So back then, I don't really remember it as much. Were you guys naming cars like they name them now? Now every car's got a name for some reason.
Well, it was funny because Mary and Sue, theirs was war wagons. They called them war wagon. It was
Okay.
war wagon 1, 5, whatever. You know, I mean but I never really did. But Brooks has named their cars. You know,
Yeah.
We had one that it was probably the most we ever won, and it was named after a lady serial killer. She killed guys out of Daytona. Eileen was her name, and
So that was named Eileen.
yeah. So, but that was probably our best one that we had. But yeah, Brian would name them too. So that I guess that was about the time we started
naming
them. Yeah.
So that turns into the 1B car. Man, a lot of races won in that thing.
Yeah, and I mean Brian's like another brother to me. You know, I mean we've known each other so long, and I mean he's even helped the boys out. You know, with some
I've
stuff.
I've seen him over there wrenching a little bit.
So it was fun. It was, and back then, I mean, like John Brooks, his dad, they wouldn't let me work on it. You know, what I mean, it
really,
was like, you're just the driver. You just stand over there.
That's your job.
And just drive. You know, and tell us what it needs and let us drive. So it was. I told the boys a few times I've been like sweaty mess, back can't walk. You know, wanting to get. I'm like, when I drove, I never got dirty. Like now, I'm like working my tail off.
Right.
But it's great. I love seeing you know both the boys you know racing now and stuff. It's pretty cool.
And speaking of the boys, man, both of them having very successful careers in dirt late model racing.
It's so cool. I mean, I'm telling you, it's just so you know. I watched James's video. Like when we bought the go-karts, I was working for an equipment company here, and we were selling it. We sold a tack truck to the state of Kentucky. Well, we had to go to Cumberland down there.
Okay.
For the state garage to
Sure.
do this, and we're sitting there, and I think his name was Danny Anderson. We was talking to him, and he got talking. He goes, "I race go-karts and stuff." He's like, "I actually got a couple for sale." And I'm like, well, "Hell, let's go look at them."
Yeah, let's talk about that.
So I went and looked at them, and then I got a hold of Mark Garrison because Blake and Grant was running them, you know, and I'm like, "Man, will you go look at these things?" I had no idea what I was looking at. So we took a trailer down there, and they're like, "You need to, you know, it's a pretty good deal." So we got them, and that's when Josh and James, you know, we put them in them go-karts and got them in go-karts. And it was that's when we really only went to Lawrenceburg. I mean, we tried to go a couple other places.
Yeah.
Friday night always worked out good because they could run there, and then we could go
racing on Saturday.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how many of the I say kids now. I mean, to me, now that I'm starting to get a little silver in my beard, anybody under 30 is still a kid to me.
Yeah.
So it's like I didn't realize how many kids we have at Florence or younger people at Florence that did racing over there.
Yeah.
It seems like everybody I talk to now, it's like, oh yeah, I raced over there. I'm like, I had no idea.
Yeah, it was because there's some of Josh's buddies, you know, that are running mods and stuff now that you know they raced over there.
Right.
So them was a lot of work. I tell you, you wouldn't think them little go-karts would be a lot of work. They would wear you out. I mean, like I say, my brother Jack and Joe would go with us, and I'm like, you guys got to go and help me because you got to lift them on and off the stands and all that stuff.
And tires. You think, I mean, the tires in this thing is about as much work as the tires on these.
Well, and they did all that prep on them. Then they got to the deal where you just took and you could wipe them off and clean them. That was it. No,
okay.
Prep, you know?
Okay.
And so that was like the last year that we ran with them, and then we got, you know, Rick got James and you know in that car that he had.
Right.
And then a few years later he put Josh in his mod. And
then,
So Rick's been unbelievable car runner. I mean he's just he's another one. It's like I consider him a true friend and like a brother to me. I mean the guy has just went completely. I mean he really don't even come. I mean he always like keeps track of us.
Sure.
You know, I mean I text him like throughout the night always if he can't be there because he's so busy and stuff. But he's done a lot for us. And
I've got a brother-in-law that works for Rick up in Sharonville.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's good. He's got quite a business going on too. Man, it's crazy.
I mean, I see their equipment and stuff everywhere. Everywhere.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's right there at Florence. They're doing that project right there. It's like, can you all hurry up and get this done?
Right. Man, some of us got to get to and from work. You make this a little bit easier.
Yeah, I was kidding one of the guys that works with him about it. He's like, the stick keeps changing. That ain't our fault it's taking so long.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
it's a pain.
But, I mean, he don't ever tell the boys, where to race or what to do. I mean, it's just, here it is. Go do it and, take care of it. And so it's been a great thing.
Right. So tell us a little bit about Jerry Rice outside of the race car. So we know you started with the Sportsman and had successful late model stuff. What kind of hobbies you get into outside of racing?
Really, I mean, I'm a outside salesperson. I was in the equipment business for a while, and then I got a job selling heavy equipment trailers.
Okay.
So I cover 13 states. So I'm usually gone.
Yeah, that's a lot of travel.
But I love it. I mean, it's they don't I go and do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And when I actually interviewed with them, they said, look, if the boys ever are racing out in Iowa or whatever, plan your week out there and keep just take we'll pay for motel rooms and stuff. Just go. So I'm
nice.
Like, heck yeah, this is going to work out great.
This would be a good thing.
Yeah. So that's kind of that's what I really. But I mean, I like to deer hunt and stuff like that. I love to fish, but I ain't probably fished in 5 years. But I just anything outdoors. That's me. I'm pretty much
I remember growing up as a kid doing a lot. I mean, I think as a kid I did more fishing than hunting. Then I kind of started doing more hunting than fishing. And then it's like, I ain't got time for that.
Yeah.
I'd love to, but I ain't got time.
Especially with these things. I mean, it's crazy. I mean,
right.
I mean, to do it right, you gotta. I mean, as you know, you gotta spend the time. You can't just wipe them off and race them. You gotta go through them.
I think that's one of the things. I mean, I try to really get across to everybody, and people don't realize. And even if it is your weekend warriors and people that go out and have fun on the weekends, it's like, man, this is a full-time job trying to do this stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, it's and like James, because when you talk to James, I mean, I don't do tires. I'll put one on the car, but I'm not going to cut it, sipe it. I will grind it if they want me to grind it, but there's so much work into that. I mean, it's crazy. And with this new tire deal, hopefully, I don't know if that's going to be good or bad, or I mean, I've heard it both ways. If they just grind them and don't cut them and sipe them, they ain't going to last as long. And so I don't know. It's going to be anxious to see how the year turns out.
I think there's you're never going to get away from. People are always going to be trying to push that envelope. What can we do and what can we get away with? And
right.
I think that's always going to be there. No matter what rules you put in there, it's always going to be there.
Absolutely.
But I guess that's what makes it halfway interesting, huh?
Yeah.
See what works and what doesn't, and who gets away with it.
Yeah. There's times where I'm like, just leave it alone. We're fast, and they're like, oh, we're going to change this or change that.
Yeah.
I think it was last year, the Dream of the World. Josh was starting on the front row, and one of the preliminary nights. And when James won the Circuit City deal, it was just me and James, and there was another boy that went with us, and then Gary and his crew. Josh was sick, and he was supposed to go with us, so he didn't go.
Right.
And like, look, just do your deal, So we went up there, and he found some stuff, and so when we got up to Eldora, James was like, man, this worked great. It's kind of so they kind of put it on Josh's car, and it was like he was pulling an anchor around there. I'm like, what the hell did you guys do to that?
Yeah, that didn't work.
So it did not work up there at all. But it was. It's good to see how good they work together.
Right.
And then thank God Sean Fullwood goes with them too, because he really helps a lot on
right.
And they'll argue and
I was always wondering, did they ever butt heads, or is it just do they always just click?
Absolutely, especially like
typical brothers.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Josh got to do his things his way, and then there's been a couple times we went and tested this year, and James was faster than Josh.
Okay.
And so Josh was like, "What are you doing?" And Sean was like, "We need to do a few of these things," and Josh really didn't want to do it that way.
Right.
So when he jumps in James's car, and he's like, so that's actually, like I say, he started winning some bigger races that way, because he didn't have to just beat the eyes out of it. I mean,
right.
So yeah, it's good to see him, like I say, work together.
Right.
I mean, I've seen them argue, but I've never really seen them.
Come to blows or anything. No, that's good.
They've always
worked it out or walked away.
Yeah, absolutely.
So was it last year or a year before? You got back in the car for a time or two, didn't you?
Yeah, we had a motor that we had gotten from Jay, and it, it it had cracked the head where they mill all the lighten up
Yep.
and whatever.
Yep.
It cracked the side of it, and it was the Spring 50, I think, and the first time I drove it, and we sent it to Jay, and we got it back because it leaked all the water out, and Josh had to pull in.
Yep.
So he's like, look, I just want to make sure it's going to run and not do that again.
Right.
So he asked, and James had his car, I think, at the time. So and there's so much different now than when,
That was what I was wondering is how much different it was.
And I only ran, it was like an 8-lap heat race, and the last lap I put it in the fence going down the back chute because my arms was jelly, and I feel like I'm in pretty good shape, but it's so different. I mean, it's
right.
just in them cars. And so Sean was like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And I'm like, this thing's 40 laps long. I can't run a heat race. I'm like, just leave it alone. I'll just go out and there's a couple times I've ran it. I'm the whole time wondering what the boys are doing, and you got to be concentrating on these things. You can't. So I usually end up pulling in and just, like say wanting to watch, see where they finish.
Right.
Because I'm like, shit, this is. But I don't know. I mean, there's times where I think I'd like to do it again, but then. I just don't have the time to put in
right.
to make, to do it right the way,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people like go over and racing just for fun, but that's not our cup of tea.
Yeah.
I mean, if we ain't going over there to win, we don't want to go.
Right.
And I don't give a shit. I remember when we got our first XR1, we're pulling in with it, and I mean, it was one of the bigger races because, everybody was there. It was Josh's mentality. He looked at me and he goes, "This is gonna be pretty cool when we win this thing." I mean, and he did. That's what he
right.
thought. I mean, it wasn't like I hope we run good or whatever.
Right. Right.
And that was my fault. The fuel pump goes on the back of where all the oil pump, power steering pump, and then the fuel pump.
Right.
Well, I had it on there, but when I tightened it, the little aluminum clamp goes around it. It cracked.
Okay.
And the damn fuel pump fell off of it.
Oh.
Yeah. So we wire them on there now just in case that ever happens. But
yeah.
Yeah. That was our first. But he was running really good. I mean, but that was.
Yeah.
It's just a number on the side of the car. Damn. He don't. If he, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever
doesn't matter who it is. It's just another car.
Yeah. That's the way he kind of has always looked at it. But yeah, it's like I say, I love it. I don't know what we'd do if if
right.
Rick ever takes all this shit. I hope somebody fixes it. We've been blessed though, my whole life. I mean, we're not rich people. We can't afford to do this stuff. And
right.
It seems like there's always been somebody. When something's down. When Josh and James first started racing late models, when they come and got everything, we was devastated. And we'd had an old car that we'd put together. James had flipped one car and another one he stuck in the wall at Eldor, and there was another one laying out back, and we didn't have nothing to do. We just sitting in here.
Yeah.
So we got the fool there. We started dragging frames in here and started. This place had them whiz wheels or whatever. We went up Tractor Supply and bought a big pack of them. We started cutting them apart and ratchet strapped them all together and welded it all up. And I called my brother Joe, and it was sitting there on stands, and we took like 3 race cars and put one together.
Right.
And, he's like, what in the hell are you all going to do? And I'm like, we're just going to put it together and see what happens. So
yeah.
And then the motor we had wore it out. It was lapped out.
It was lapped
away
way
out. We
out.
stuck it over there, and it sat over on the side of the wall for like 5 years. And they're like, can we just put it in there and run? And so we did. We go to Florence, and I was like, look, you guys aren't going to beat these guys. Just go over there, and we're just going to have fun,
Right.
Like it said we wouldn't do. And Josh ends up winning it. You know what I mean? Well, James had ran really good in it, but it got hot, and he pulled in. Well, that next weekend he was going to the lake, so Josh asked him, said, "Can I drive it?" And James was like, "Yeah, go ahead."
Yeah.
Because me and Josh actually welded. We didn't want to cut it, but James ended up finishing it, putting it together. So anyway, we go over there. And Josh is starting on the front. He goes, Dad, when should I pull it in? I said, when it dies. I said,
when it dies.
Just melt this son of a bitch down.
Yeah.
Do not pull it in. If you're leading, do not pull in.
Yeah.
And when he come around, pulled up to get his picture taken, every light was on.
So much for having fun.
It was probably one of the funnest nights of racing.
We had a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. It was because, I mean, motor was wore out. It
Yeah.
was an old car that we, and he
Pieced together.
beat some really good cars. You
Yeah.
know? And then James ended up winning a couple races in it too. So
Really?
it was, yeah, it was. They called it jerry rig because we jerry rigged it all together. That's
That's
what
a
they
fitting
named
name.
Yeah, it was.
I'm thinking Frankenstein or something, but nope, yep, jerry rig just works.
It was, but it all went right together, and we kind of measured off everything, and
Yeah, this could work. Yeah, this could work.
And it's like, it wasn't like the cage and everything was fine, but we had like a front clip and the whole right side frame rail. And
Yeah.
it was all of one car, and then the other one, the center section was another car, and the
Yeah,
back of it was. But yeah, it was. Yeah, we had a lot of fun with that thing.
Do you remember some of the man? I've seen some of the. I remember some of the cars like when he was younger. Not that he's old now, but Jason Jameson. Some of the cars. Man, that car had looked like it had body parts off of like 5 or 6 different cars. I'm like, what the? I remember that. Okay, I remember that car. Where did It's like, man, they just pull pieces out of the junkyard and start putting them together, and he was fast with them.
Blake's told us stories about him cutting stuff.
Yeah.
And doing different stuff. Yeah.
It just reminded me of something like that.
Yeah, he's actually helped us a few times on a few different things. He had a deal one time on his right rear of some crazy bar he was putting on there, and we tried it a few times and stuff. But yeah,
right.
It was yeah. He's like I say, he's pretty creative.
Ingenuity levels way up there. Huh. Well, Jerry, man, man, it seems like no matter what decade it is, man, Florence is tough to win at, know, and man, you guys have been able to win races, not just Florence, but I mean, you won a lot of races at Eldora. Did you get a championship up there?
Yeah. We had it in 01 or 02. All we had to do was show up. Mm-hmm. Well, we'd only.
I don't want to show up. I want to win.
Well, we was leading the points at Florence and Eldora.
Okay.
And Brian's like, what are we going to do? All we got to do is show up either at Florence and win or go to Eldora and win. And this day, I wish I went to Eldora. But I told him, like, look, we're at every Eldora race. I felt like at the time I was going to win more than one championship at Eldora. I'm like, let's go to Florence because we're not going to run Florence every year like we did this year, every week like we did this year. So we went to Florence and won it that year, and then, like I say, I really, because, I mean, I love Florence. It's a great racetrack. I mean, we've traveled to some real shitholes. I mean, it's just, and it's, I mean, when you
some really, not so nice places,
and it makes you really appreciate it. That it's 5 minutes down the road. I mean, it really,
that's always nice too.
Yeah, but Eldora, I don't know what it is. I mean, if you just win a heat race at that place, it's special.
Sure.
I mean, it's
talk about a track that's tough to win at. That's got to be one of the toughest.
And it's like it's so. Just when you think you kind of like we've got it figured out, we're running really good. We're gonna it smacks you and shows you who's boss. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It does. It's just it's like. Rick he hates it because we've lost a couple motors up there. And he's like, damn, this place is
I hate this place.
But, but he realizes. I mean, it's if you win a race there, you've done something.
Yeah.
I feel. I mean, I don't care if it's a heat race. It's
right.
hard to win up there.
No, for sure. So before we wrap things up, anybody else you need to mention? Maybe we didn't quite talk about on the air. I know you was talking about a few things before we started. Before we wrap up, anybody else you need to mention that maybe helped you guys out a ton or just?
I'm sure there's a lot of people that's helped us, especially me through the years. I mean, I've had people come up and just buy us a tire or whatever. You know what I mean? And But I just thank everybody that ever let me drive their car or or even get I mean, like the Brookses, they've spent a lot money and time, and effort to keep me racing and stuff and then, like I say again, Rick Jones. I mean, that guy has been. I can't sing enough praises about that.
Sure.
Guy. He's just for what he's done for my family, and I mean, he's helped the boys get a road cut into their property over there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, and I don't know we would. I don't know what we'd be doing without him. You know what I mean?
Right.
I told him that 100 times. When Josh won that first Latham race, I mean, I'll admit, I was crying like a little kid. You know?
Yeah.
Hugging and screaming on him, and he's so laid back, and mom, like, he really didn't even get excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy's, like I say, he's probably, and then anybody that, like I say, it's helped me. My brothers, Jack and Joe, they've done so much for me throughout the years.
Yeah.
You know.
You was telling me about somebody before we got started.
Today is a buddy of ours, Vern
Yeah.
Boland. He got killed in a car wreck on actually Josh's like third birthday, and I was thinking about him all day today. He was a really good guy, and just a stupid automobile or accident going down the road. You know what I mean? It's just
Yep.
you never. That's one thing about life. You just never know.
Right.
They say tomorrow's never promised.
It's not, man.
I mean,
It's
you really, it's scary to some of the stuff that
Yep.
goes on. But yeah, we was thinking about Vern today. He's with the Brookses and stuff. He was.
Yep.
No matter where we parked at, if we was at Eldora, whoever we parked on both sides of us, by the
Right.
end of that weekend, we was buddies with him because of Vern.
Yeah.
When he passed, there was 4 or 5 times after that,
Yeah.
people was still coming up.
Hey,
where's the big redneck guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They all, you may not have remembered his name, but they want, he was
Yeah.
he was a good time, good dude.
And that's something, man. We do have a lot of people like that in the sport, and I just hope that those people get recognized. Because there's if you get into the sport, man, it's hard to. You're in it.
Yeah, like everybody's, I heard a dozen people say it. They've got stuff for drug addicts, but they don't have nothing.
They got nothing for racing. That's it.
But it's, like I say, with me and the boys, I hate it when we have a rain out now through the week. You know what I mean? Because it's they go to the casino or whatever, and I'm worried about them getting home or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's but when they're out here pretty much. Well, James not so much anymore. Them 2 girls.
Oh, he's got his hands full now, don't he?
And then Jessica, my daughter, she had twin boys. So
I seen that.
Yeah,
Congratulations on that.
They're so awesome. They are so awesome. Yeah,
Couple more future racers, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I told Jess. 2 future RBRs right there. Yeah,
yep, there you go.
It's so great having grandkids. James and them come over for Christmas, and little Josie got hurt, and I didn't think she'd even let me pick her up. I picked her up, and she put her head on my shoulder, and it's like makes you melt. I mean, it's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, that's better than winning races, ain't it?
Yeah, oh, it is. It's so they're so.
I'm gonna take your word for it. I'm nowhere near ready for that.
Yeah, when Jess called me and told me, she was going. I just started my new job, and I was in New Jersey, and she FaceTimed me, and I'm like, she knows I'm in a meeting.
Yeah.
I was like, can I take this? Because I was worried something was wrong.
Right.
She had a picture, and it looked like 2 pictures, and I'm like,
Right.
She goes, can you see that? And I'm like, what am I looking at? I'm like, can you tell what it is? Because I thought it was, they just done 2. She's like, there's 2 there. And I'm like, yeah, I see the 2 pictures. She's like, no,
that's one picture.
And I'm like, I was just like in shock. When we hung up the phone, my boss was looking at me, he goes, you need a minute? I'm like, yeah.
Go take 5.
I'm like, I can't believe she's having twins.
Right.
I still can't believe she had twins.
Yeah.
They was little bitty guys. Now they're starting to get moving around and stuff. So it's they're great. They're awesome.
So next chapter, being a grandpa.
Yeah, I can't wait to get them in go-karts or whatever. I done. Hope the other grandmas and stuff are all right. I just hope we're able to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hope, like I say, it's hopefully we can pave the way for them like we did with James and Josh.
Yep.
There ain't nothing better. I mean, it's when you see your kids. When Josh won that Latham and James won that C.J. Raven race. I mean, it was. There's no more proud
That's it.
moment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awesome. That's why.
Yep.
Can't brag on enough.
I hear you, man. That's awesome. Well, Jerry, again, man, I can't say thanks enough, man. I mean, I know there's probably a million other stories that we didn't really get to, but God, you can't squeeze them all into one little time frame here,
Right. Well, thanks for coming out. I appreciate it.
I know Jerry Rice has had a lot of fans over the years, and I hope maybe some of those people will get to check this episode out, and and I hope they enjoy it, and I hope everybody enjoys it. So.
Yeah, when you asked me, I'm like, nobody's gonna watch that.
Yeah.
I'm in the old school. Nobody's gonna care about this.
Man, those are some of the good stories, though.
Yeah.
That's back when I'm not gonna say racing was racing, but I mean it was. I mean, you look at the drivers that Florence had back in the day when Jerry Rice was winning like every other week. Look at the cars and the drivers you were beating. It's like,
I mean, there was like 40 late models over there every week.
Yeah.
They run a B main, and and it's like you had to be just to make the race. I mean, I've talked to a couple guys, and they're like, man, it's just crazy to think there ain't there's
Right.
cars, and yeah, it was like I say, it was a hard deal, but it was a fun deal. You know,
Yeah.
With Brooks has had good equipment, and that made it a lot nicer. You know.
Right.
And then I didn't have to work on it.
I didn't have to work on it. That was even nicer.
But but I mean, I'm getting back to Josh real quick before we go. I mean, and he works on that thing so much. And
Sure.
He knows that car. I mean, and
Yeah.
Sean's taught him a lot about it too. And they have. It takes that anymore. You know what I mean? I wish if I would start my racing career over again, I would have learned more about it, learned more what it done. You know, and that's what
every nut and bolt you need to know it, and it seems like every time I had a problem, I didn't know what I was in, or it was somebody I just didn't know it.
Yeah, I've learned more, you know, just helping them than I was thinking. Man, I wish now that I would have, you know, learned it back then. But at the time, you're a young kid and everybody's willing to do the work. You know, what I mean, you just
sit back and drive, stab it and go, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks for for coming over and doing this. And
absolutely.
See what happens.
Yep. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. Make sure you go to the YouTube channel, like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys at the track next week. Thanks.